Now, the Mexican passport is far more stronger than your American, Canadian, or even Australian passport. I'm going to prove this in this video, why it is far more stronger. It has a lot more access. It is the most powerful passport in the world. Now, if you look at the basic coverage on the Mexican passport, you have UK, you have EU, right? You have a large area already on the passport. You have Canadian access, visa-free access to Canada. Through the NAFTA, you have the TN access, which is effectively you find a job, let's say in the US, you can directly apply at the border, right? You have kind of a direct access, if you will, a better access, the work-related access. You have really everything that matters on the Mexican passport. Now, the Mexican passport is also an Apec eligible passport. You can get an Apec card. The Apec adds 19 countries to the tally, right? And you have very important countries like Russia, China, you have Australia, you have New Zealand, so you have the CUNA, right, on one side. On top of that, you have Asian markets like South Korea, Singapore. The list really goes on. You have all the most important 19 countries that you could ever imagine. So if you look at the overall eligibility, on top of that, something very unique, it also has the Nexus. Now, Nexus gives you direct mobility between US, Canada, and Mexico. So you have all of North America. If you look at the Latin coverage of the Mexican passport, it is phenomenal. It has access to almost all the places. Uniquely, the Mexican passport has a lot of Middle Eastern and Muslim nation access. It has very rich connectivity to that region as well. A lot of those nations actually block Western passports like the US and Canada. They're banned or blocked, or they require visas to go there. Not your Mexican passport. It has direct, easy access to those regions. Now, shockingly enough, the Mexican passport also happens to be one of the easiest passports to obtain. Now, if you look at some of the eligibility and the residency requirements for some of the other passports or citizenships, you're talking about 5 years, 10 years, several years of physical presence on the ground. That's not the case with the Mexican passport. It has the least amount of residency expected in the world when you compare the strengths of the passport. It's almost next to free, right? The eligibility criteria is fairly simple. Now, if you've missed my all-important coverage on all the possible ways and avenues for obtaining a Mexican passport, including obtaining it almost instantly. There's also a 2-year citizenship by exception track where, let's say you open up a business. The key over here is to the documentation aspect, proving that that business is benefiting Mexico in a substantial way. As long as that is documented correctly, then you are looking at citizenship by exception. 2 years. 2 years is literally nothing for a passport like the Mexican passport. A lot of people keep talking about it's unsafe and there's crime. Why would you get a Mexican passport? Passport is not necessary. It's not required to live inside the country. You can be in a country without ever having applied for a passport. A passport is used to travel outside the country. So when you say, why do you need a Mexican passport? There is crime. The statement does not make sense because crime happens inside of Mexico. If it does, if you believe that it does, then it happens inside of Mexico. When you are talking about a passport, you're usually going outside of Mexico. You don't need the passport to live inside of Mexico to face the crime or whatever you're talking about. I think that's very basic, and a lot of people really don't understand when they make statements like this. Now, interestingly, US and Canada is not a full member of Apec. They're just transitional members. They don't get access to the full stack of 19 countries. These are high profile countries only available to certain passports, like, for example, the Mexican passport, the Russian passport. A lot of people are absolutely crazy about the Russian access, Russian nationality. Now, a lot of people from Nepal apparently have been flocking like bees in the hundreds to obtain the Russian passport. Now, President Putin is offering this passport almost for free to foreign citizens. Now, if you have missed my all-important coverage of what this is and why President Putin is offering a free passport for foreign nationals. Now, although I don't recommend anything like this, this is important to at least know that this program exists. This is important news. If you have missed that all-important video, you can take a look at this one. This covers the whole thing in a lot of detail. The Russian passport also has that all-important Apec access. Now, Mexico and Russia are not just the only two passports that have APEC access. There's several other options that I have discussed in order to obtain or easily obtain the APEC passport quickly. There are 3 other countries that you can realistically obtain a passport in. If you've missed my all-important coverage detailing what all passports can get you APEC and what your options are, you can actually hop onto this video. This talks about all the APEC passport options that are available. If you aren't subscribed to my channel, make sure to turn on the bell notification and subscribe. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, make sure you're sub, and catch you in this next one.